The story of a princess who chose the path of self-realization. This is the story of a princess who renounced luxury and opulence to pursue the path of self-realization. A young woman who was not only exceptional in beauty and virtues, but also unparalleled in knowledge and reasoning. Born in the palace of the king of Vidarbha, this girl was extraordinary from childhood. Lopamudra, also known as Kaveri, Kaushitki, and Varaprada, was a remarkable scholar. She was called a Brahmavadini, meaning a woman engaged in understanding the essence of Brahman, self-realization, and the mysteries of the Vedas. The legend of Lopamudra's origin. Rishi Agastya, one of the Saptarishis, required an exceptional offspring for the salvation of his ancestors. Thus, he created a girl by combining the finest qualities of various beings. Since this process led to a diminution of their attributes, the girl was named Lopamudra. Later, Rishi Agastya entrusted this girl to the king of Vidarbha, who raised her as his own daughter. Growing up in the palace of Vidarbha, Lopamudra was extraordinary from a young age. She was nurtured with immense love and respect. Despite being raised amidst the grandeur of the royal palace, she was not only exceptional in beauty and virtues but also in knowledge and reasoning. While other princesses in the vast halls of the palace indulged in their hobbies, Lopamudra would be found sitting at the feet of scholars, engrossed in learning the Vedas and scriptures. She studied not only religious texts but also warfare, music, poetry, and politics. Her father, a learned king himself, took great pride in his daughter's sharp intellect and inquisitive nature. One day, a great scholar visited the king's court. He was renowned for his wisdom and reasoning skills. The courtiers and scholars present in the assembly praised his intellect. At that moment, 10-year-old Lopamudra curiously asked him a question. If knowledge is the path to liberation, why is there a distinction between a king and his subjects? For a brief moment, silence filled the court. The scholar hesitated to answer this profound question. Observing this, Lopamudra herself responded, "In reality, the one who possesses true knowledge is the real king, and the one who lacks knowledge, no matter if he sits on the throne, is merely like an ordinary subject." Hearing her answer, not only the scholar but even the king and courtiers were astonished. Such profound wisdom at such a young age. It became evident that Lopamudra was not just an ordinary princess, she was born to be a Brahmavadini. As time passed, Lopamudra reached the age of marriage. Many powerful kings sent marriage proposals for her. The king himself wished that his daughter would become the queen of a mighty emperor. But at that moment, sage Agastya himself approached the king of Vidarbha with a marriage proposal. The king grew anxious. A great sage, but an ascetic. How could he send his princess away from the palace to the hardships of life in the forest? However, when Lopamudra was asked for her opinion, she responded without hesitation, "My heart is drawn toward knowledge, not material luxury." Sage Agastya is not just an ascetic, but a profound knower of Brahmavidya. This is the true way of life, and I am ready to embrace it. Hearing this, the king and queen were left stunned. They wanted to stop their daughter, but they knew that this decision was guided by her intellect and soul. The wedding took place at an auspicious time. After the marriage, as Lopamudra prepared to leave the palace, her mother, with tear-filled eyes, asked, "My daughter, will you never regret this decision?" Lopamudra smiled and replied, "Mother, the palace was the home of my body, but self-realization is the home of my soul." With these words, she renounced her royal garments and adorned the simple attire of a sage. As she walked towards the forest, no one knew that she was not just going to be a sage's wife, but was destined to become a great scholar and Brahmavadini herself. After marriage, Lopamudra renounced royal life and embraced the ascetic way of life with sage Agastya. However, she soon realized that her husband was so deeply engrossed in his penance that he was neglecting his duties towards household life. Expressing this situation, she composed hymns in the Rig Veda, which reflect her profound intellect and spiritual insight. In one of her hymns in the Rig Veda, Lopamudra says, "Why tried pointing back hand index? O beloved, let our relationship not be limited to duty alone, but be filled with love and spiritual connection." This verse highlights the importance of emotional bonding and mutual respect in marital life, a thought far ahead of the conservative mindset of that era. In her hymns, Lopamudra also emphasized the desires and rights of women. She clearly stated that a woman is not merely a follower of a man but a thinker, philosopher, an independent individual in her own right. A woman is as much entitled to knowledge as a man. She has the right to education and spiritual growth. This verse makes it evident that Lopamudra did not perceive women in a limited role. Instead, she strongly advocated for their rights to education, self-determination, and the pursuit of wisdom. Some of her hymns in the Rig Veda also focus on Brahmavidya, the knowledge of the ultimate reality, and Atmajanana, self-realization. She believed that the soul has no gender, and therefore, both men and women have an equal right to attain Brahmavidya. Whoever walks the path of truth, wisdom, and penance shall attain Brahman, whether man or woman. This ideology challenged the social norms of that time, where women's spiritual progress was often restricted. Lopamudra's historic debate with King Shrutashrava. In ancient Indian society, there were varied opinions about the status of women. Some believed that women should be confined to household life, while others supported their right to education, knowledge, and philosophical discourse. During such a time, King Shrutashrava, who considered women inferior to men, publicly declared that if any woman could defeat him in a debate on the scriptures, he would change his views. His proclamation became a topic of discussion among many scholars. While some agreed that male dominance was the foundation of social order, others believed that women were equally capable in wisdom and reasoning. When this news reached Lopamudra, she took it as a challenge. Being not just the wife of a great sage but also a highly learned woman and a scholar of the Vedas, she decided to confront the king. She arrived at King Shrutashrava's court, where a grand assembly was held. Seeing a woman among the scholars, ministers, and royal dignitaries, some were astonished, while others laughed at the idea that a woman could defeat the king in a debate. King Shrutashrava smirked and sarcastically remarked, "O Devi, do you truly believe that women possess the same level of knowledge as men?" Lopamudra confidently replied, "Why tried pointing back hand index? O king, knowledge is not anyone's personal property, nor is it dependent on gender. Whoever wishes to attain it can do so." A profound silence fell upon the assembly after this response. King Shrutashrava then initiated the debate. The king posed his first question. Why tried pointing back hand index? What is the supreme duty of a woman? Lopamudra answered, "Why tried pointing back hand index? O king, a woman's duty is the same as a man's, to follow the path of truth, acquire knowledge, and uphold righteousness. If the duty of men is penance, meditation, and virtue, then the duty of women is the same. Man and woman are two facets of the same creation, and both must fulfill their dharma equally." The entire assembly was astonished by this response. The king then asked a second question. Why tried pointing back hand index? Can a woman make independent decisions? Lopamudra replied, "Why tried pointing back hand index? Absolutely. If she is capable of wisdom, intellect, and judgment, then she can make decisions in any field. If a king can govern a nation through his decisions, then a woman, with her intelligence and knowledge, can also make sound decisions. History has witnessed many learned women who guided society in the right direction. Scholars like Gargi, Maitreyi, and Apala engaged in philosophical debates and contributed to the Vedic scriptures. Some members of the assembly nodded in agreement, while others hesitated to accept it. The king proceeded with another question. With a serious tone, King Shrutashrava asked, "Why tried pointing back hand index? Can a woman attain Brahmavidya? Can she walk the path of liberation?" Lopamudra smiled and replied, "Why tried pointing back hand index? O king, the soul is neither male nor female. When the soul has no gender, then why should there be any discrimination on the path to Brahmavidya? Whoever walks the path of penance, meditation, and wisdom can attain Brahmavidya. Women sages have imparted their teachings in the Vedas, and many women have attained spiritual enlightenment and liberation. This answer left the king deep in thought. He was speechless. The scholars and ministers present in the assembly applauded her response. King Shrutashrava, who once considered women inferior to men, was now defeated by Lopamudra's wisdom and reasoning. In front of the entire assembly, he announced a change in his beliefs. Why tried pointing backhand index? O learned Lopamudra! You have taught me that knowledge and righteousness are not bound by caste, class, or gender. I accept my mistake and vow that henceforth, I shall honor women equally and will not prevent them from attaining education and wisdom. The people present in the assembly rejoiced at the king's decision and praised Lopamudra. One day, while Rishi Agastya was deep in meditation, Lopamudra gently approached him and asked, Swami, is penance the only path in life? Are love and emotions meaningless? Rishi Agastya opened his eyes and replied in a serious tone, Devi, the purpose of a householder's life is to follow dharma and self-discipline. Love and pleasure draw us away from liberation. Lopamudra was not satisfied with this answer. She was a learned woman who had studied the Vedas and Upanishads. She knew that life was not only about penance but also about love, dedication, and balance. She spoke again. If love and affection were not a part of life, then why did Brahma grant us these emotions? If penance were the sole essence of life, then why was the householder's ashrama established? Rishi Agastya could not immediately answer this question. He remained silent for a while and pondered deeply. He realized that Lopamudra was speaking the truth. Life does not have only one path. There are multiple paths, each with its own significance. After this conversation, Rishi Agastya accepted that balance between penance and household life was essential. He made some changes to his strict routines and began spending more time with Lopamudra. He understood that an ideal householder is one who maintains both self-discipline and love equally. The ashram's atmosphere was no longer as austere as before. Rishi Agastya and Lopamudra started spending more time together, understanding each other's emotions, and embracing the true essence of household life. As time passed, this harmony bore fruit, and Lopamudra gave birth to a radiant son named Dhricheta. Small blue diamond Dhricheta means, one whose intellect is steadfast and unshakable. This name symbolized that he was an extraordinary child, blessed with immense wisdom and strength. Small blue diamond with the birth of a son, the purpose for which Rishi Agastya had entered into marriage was fulfilled. Small blue diamond Dhricheta later became a great scholar and sage. The child Dhricheta was exceptionally intelligent. From an early age, he began studying the Vedas and scriptures. His memory was so sharp that he never forgot anything he heard even once. When he grew a little older, Rishi Agastya himself began to educate him. He imparted knowledge of the Vedas, Upanishads, and scriptures. At the same time, Lopamudra also taught him the significance of feminine strength, compassion, love, and a balanced life. Over time, Dhricheta imbibed the virtues of both his parents. He became not only a great scholar but also an accomplished ascetic. With his wisdom and discipline, he guided society in a new direction, teaching people that penance and household life were not opposites but complements to each other. Rishi Agastya and Lopamudra spent many years in a harmonious and fulfilling household life. They were perfect counterparts to each other. On one side was Agastya's strict penance and discipline, while on the other was Lopamudra's wisdom, love, and sense of balance. But destiny had something else in store. It is said that, for some reason, Lord Vishnu cursed Lopamudra to transform into a river. Several reasons are given for this. One belief is that Rishi Agastya was immensely powerful and had been accomplishing great feats, but his full potential was not being utilized. Lopamudra's presence was a source of inspiration for him, but it was also necessary for her to become a medium for the welfare of the entire world. Thus, she was cursed to transform into water and nourish all living beings. Another belief states that once, in order to maintain the balance of the ocean, Rishi Agastya drank its entire water. This led to a severe water crisis on earth. To resolve this crisis, Lopamudra was cursed to become a river so that she could restore life on earth with her waters. When Rishi Agastya learned that his beloved wife was about to be transformed into a river, he was deeply sorrowed. He prayed to Lord Vishnu to revoke the curse, but destiny could not be altered. The thought of being separated from his wife was unbearable for him. Therefore, using his penance and divine powers, he absorbed Lopamudra into his kamandalu, sacred water pot. This was an astonishing event. Small blue diamond, the entire power of a mighty river was contained within Rishi Agastya's small kamandalu. Small blue diamond, the river now travelled with him everywhere. But it had no flow, its power was confined. Small blue diamond Lopamudra was now in the kamandalu as water, but for a river, it was essential to flow. Time passed, and Rishi Agastya continued to carry Lopamudra with him in the form of water in his kamandalu. However, nature must function according to its own laws. Lord Ganesha realized that if Lopamudra did not flow as a river, the earth would continue to suffer from a water crisis. All living beings needed her waters. Thus, Lord Ganesha took the form of a crow and approached Rishi Agastya. Small blue diamond, while Rishi Agastya was deep in meditation, the crow flew near him and sat by his kamandalu. Small blue diamond, suddenly, the crow knocked over the kamandalu with its wings. Small blue diamond, as soon as the kamandalu fell, the stored water began to flow onto the earth. Small blue diamond, this was no ordinary water. It was Lopamudra herself, now emerging as a river. As the water started flowing, it transformed into a mighty river and began its journey forward. This was no ordinary stream. It was Lopamudra herself, now flowing as the Kaveri river, nourishing all living beings on earth. Small blue diamond, the Kaveri river ended the water crisis in South India and became a life-giving force for the people. Small blue diamond, after this event, Rishi Agastya realized that setting Lopamudra free was his greatest duty. Small blue diamond, he meditated on the banks of the river and sanctified it as a sacred water source. Lopamudra's son, Dhricheta, deeply loved his mother. When Dhricheta learned that his mother had now taken the form of the Kaveri river, he could hardly believe it. A question arose in his mind. Would he never be able to meet his mother as he once did? He approached Rishi Agastya, deeply emotional, and said, "Pitashri, did you not even consider how I would live without my mother? Can any child be complete without their mother?" His heart ached at the thought that his mother was no longer in human form, but had become a flowing river. Rishi Agastya explained to his son that this was not just a personal event, but was necessary for the welfare of the entire living world. He said, "Son, your mother is no longer just ours. She has become the life-giving force of the entire earth. Just as the sun provides light to all, in the same way, Lopamudra's waters will now nourish everyone." Hearing this, Dhricheta's anger subsided, but tears welled up in his eyes. Initially, Dhricheta felt sorrow and dissatisfaction, but when he understood the deep meaning behind this event, he accepted it as the greatest ideal of his life. After witnessing his mother in her water form, Dhricheta resolved that he would protect this river for the rest of his life and would never allow it to become impure. He took a vow. "My mother is no longer just mine, but she belongs to the entire creation. I will serve her and maintain her purity." After Lopamudra began flowing as the Kaveri river, Dhricheta's life completely changed. He rose above his personal joys and sorrows, understood his duty, and advanced on the path of righteousness. To give shape to his resolution, Dhricheta established a grand ashram on the banks of the Kaveri river, where he performed daily worship of his mother and conducted rituals to keep the water pure. But soon, he noticed that some ignorant people were polluting the river by throwing waste into it, wasting its water, and failing to understand its importance. Seeing this, he was deeply distressed and decided to educate society about the fact that this was no ordinary stream of water, but the manifestation of a goddess herself. He, along with sages and yogis, started the tradition of yajnas and havans so that the spiritual energy of the river's water remained intact and people revered it as sacred. Due to his efforts, Kaveri was no longer just a river. It became a spiritual source, and its glory echoed throughout South India. He explained to the people that the waters of Kaveri were not just a means to quench thirst, but also a medium for spiritual and physical purification. However, ignorance was not the only obstacle in Dridhacheta's path. There were also some demons who did not want the Kaveri river to flow and enrich the region. They feared that if this river advanced, the sages of this land would become more powerful and that righteousness would spread. Thus, they devised several conspiracies to block the flow of the Kaveri river. Some demons obstructed the river's path with massive rocks, while others used black magic to try and dry up the water. They also spread false rumors among the people that the water was cursed and should not be used. When this news reached Dridhacheta, he immediately took action to protect Mother Kaveri. With his spiritual power, he summoned rainfall, which increased the water level and nullified the demon's efforts. Then, using his yogic abilities, he removed the massive rocks and restored the river's flow. But the demons did not accept defeat and planned a war to stop Kaveri's flow. Dridhacheta did not use weapons in this battle. Instead, he used his mantras and blessings. The demons were defeated by his divine knowledge and spiritual power, and Kaveri once again began to flow freely. Along with water conservation, Dridhacheta also spread awareness among people that water is not just essential for physical life, but is also a source of spiritual energy. He initiated the tradition of performing abhisheka, ritual bathing, with Kaveri water. He developed a water-based meditation technique, Jal Yoga Sadhana, on the banks of the Kaveri, which helped people attain mental peace. He established the tradition of offering Kaveri water at the Ayyappa temple and other sacred sites. He declared this water as holy, to be offered to the deities and used for special rituals. As time passed, Dridhacheta thought of making Mother Kaveri's water beneficial for as many people as possible. He established a sacred city along the river bank, where sages, merchants, and farmers began to reside. In this city, cowsheds, ashrams, and yajna altars were built, making it a spiritual hub. To maintain the purity of Kaveri, he implemented several other measures. He constructed many small reservoirs and ponds along the river bank to facilitate water conservation and prevent future water shortages. He traveled from village to village, educating people about the importance of water conservation and teaching them not to waste water but to see it as a divine blessing. His efforts brought a new awareness to society regarding water conservation, and many regions overcame water scarcity. He developed a special medicinal forest along the Kaveri banks and identified plants that had the ability to purify water. Through Vedic methods and natural remedies, he infused medicinal properties into Kaveri's water, making it not only drinkable but also capable of curing diseases. When people consumed or bathed in this water, their ailments began to heal naturally. This tradition is still observed at many pilgrimage sites today, where Kaveri's water is considered exceptionally sacred and is believed to have healing properties. However, Dridhacheta's knowledge was not limited to physical water conservation alone. He was also a great yogi and spiritual master, who had a deep understanding of the mysteries of water. During his spiritual quest, one day, he reached a dense forest in South India, where he received a divine inspiration that he must visit a particular place to attain profound wisdom. On this journey, he arrived at a mysterious cave, where ancient yogis and ascetics were in deep meditation. The outside world knew nothing about these yogis, as they had been engaged in meditation and penance for countless ages. They recognized Dridhacheta and told him that he was not just the son of Rishi Agastya, but also the guardian of water and energy. He was to be bestowed with knowledge that would enable him to work for the welfare of the entire world. The yogis taught him the profound secrets of water systems, pranayam, and energy balance. They explained that water is not just essential for physical life, but is also a source of spiritual energy. They revealed the mysteries of water-based tantra and mantra powers, which could be used for healing and meditation. They also taught how special meditation and practices could energize natural water sources. In the final days of his life, Dridhacheta performed a grand yajna on the banks of the Kaveri and taught everyone to respect and conserve water. He told his disciples that he would now relinquish his physical body and transform into pure energy. Sitting in a meditative posture, his body gradually transformed into light. Ultimately, he merged into water and light. Even today, in certain regions along the Kaveri River, a special energy can be felt, drawing people to meditate there. The work Dridhacheta did to preserve the sanctity of the Kaveri River is still remembered. He not only established Kaveri as a goddess, but also ingrained the importance of water conservation and spiritual practice in society. Dridhacheta was not just the son of sage Agastya and Lopamudra. He was a great yogi, ascetic, and an unparalleled scholar of Ayurveda. His life was dedicated to water conservation, spiritual advancement, and social reform, and his contributions will always remain immortal. Numerous sacred sites and temples along the Kaveri River reflect its divine significance and sanctity. Various sources mention different names for the son of sage Agastya and Lopamudra. Some texts refer to their son as Dridhasyu, known for his valor and warrior qualities. However, detailed accounts of his life events are limited in ancient scriptures. Due to his bravery and austerity, he holds an important place in the Vedas. Other sources mention Idmvahna, who is revered as a seer in the 25th and 26th hymns of the 9th mandala of the Rig Veda. Thus, based on available information, Agastya and Lopamudra had a son whose name appears in different sources as Dridhacheta, Dridhasyu, or Idmvahna. The story of Lopamudra transforming into the Kaveri River is mentioned in various mythological sources. According to some legends, Lopamudra, the wife of sage Agastya, took the form of the Kaveri River to alleviate the water scarcity in South India. As a result, the southern region became lush and prosperous. This story is prevalent in South Indian traditions and folklore. Lopamudra is mentioned in three major scriptures: Small Blue Diamond Rig Veda, Small Blue Diamond Mahabharata, Vana Parva, Small Blue Diamond Giridhar Ramayana. In the Upanishads, Shastras, and Puranas, a woman is depicted as a subtle and radiant force. Some of the major scriptures that emphasize this include the Devi Upanishad, Devi Mahatmya, and Devi Bhagavata Purana. The Devi Sukta of the Rig Veda describes a woman as the essence of cosmic creation, stating, "Scroll, O Divine Mother, you are not just the foundation of creation, you yourself are the embodiment of the universe. You are indestructible, eternal, and pervade the entire cosmos." Devi Sukta, the supreme status of woman. Small Blue Diamond in the Devi Sukta of the Rig Veda. A woman is not limited to being just a mother, wife, or homemaker, but is exalted as the very foundation of all creation. Small Blue Diamond. This hymn reveals the true form of the feminine power that embodies creation, preservation, and destruction, all three forces of the cosmos. The Rig Veda proclaims, "Scroll, Aham Rashtri Sangamani Vasunam, Chikitushi Prathma Yajniyanam." White right pointing back hand index, meaning, I am the sovereign power of the nation, the gatherer of all wealth and resources. I am the first to be worshipped in all sacred rituals. Small Blue Diamond. This verse clarifies that a woman is not just the caretaker of a household, but the very axis around which the nation revolves. Small Blue Diamond. She is the bearer of knowledge, prosperity, and spiritual energy. Small Blue Diamond. Her contribution is not confined to the family alone but extends to society, culture, and religion as well. Another verse from the Rig Veda states, "Scroll, Aham Swayam Uta Bhuvna Abhavam." White right pointing back hand index, meaning, I myself am the creator of all worlds. Small blue diamond. This verse presents a woman not just as a being but as the cosmic energy itself. Small blue diamond. She is not only the giver of life, but also the driving force and organizer of the universe. Small blue diamond. She is not just Maya, material energy, but also Parashakti, divine spiritual energy. Pushpin. A woman is referred to as Dhatri, the nurturer, and Janni, the mother. Pushpin. She is the creator of society, culture, and civilization. Pushpin. The Rig Veda describes her as the embodiment of Vidya, knowledge, Medha, intelligence, and Saraswati, wisdom. Pushpin. She is the guardian of knowledge, dharma, and justice. Pushpin. A woman is also depicted as Kali and Durga, the fierce force that destroys injustice and paves the way for a new era. A woman is not limited to just her family. She is also the strength of society and the nation. She is not merely a symbol of gentleness but also a manifestation of incredible strength, patience, and wisdom. Even in the modern era, women are playing a leading role in education, science, politics, and social reform. The Devi Sukta of the Rig Veda proves that a woman is not just a body but the power of the soul. She is the creator of existence, the nurturer of the nation, and the energy of the cosmos. Therefore, we must not only respect women but also understand and embrace their divinity and strength. Lopamudra's message is still relevant today. The hymns composed by her in the Vedas prove that a woman can not only be a scholar but also a guide for society. Small blue diamond. This story teaches us that white heavy checkmark. The sacrifices of parents are not just for their families, but for the welfare of the entire creation. White heavy checkmark. True devotion is not just about rituals and worship, but also about fulfilling one's responsibilities. White heavy checkmark. Water is not just essential for physical life, but also serves as a medium for spiritual elevation and purification. White heavy checkmark. Every crisis cannot be solved by weapons alone. Knowledge, penance, and righteous means can also provide solutions. White heavy checkmark. Protecting nature and conserving water is a duty of all humankind. White heavy checkmark. Self-realization is more important than royal luxury. White heavy checkmark. Balance between family life and penance is essential. White heavy checkmark. Women are not just caretakers but also contributors to society and scriptures. White heavy checkmark. The mention of women's education and Brahmavidya, spiritual wisdom, in the Vedas and Upanishads is not a coincidence but a necessary truth. Pushpin. What do you think? Pushpin. Do you believe that women today receive the same respect and rights as described in the Rig Veda? Pushpin. Does Lopamudra's contribution inspire you? Pushpin. Do you think there is still a need to balance family life and spiritual practice? White down pointing back hand index. Share your thoughts in the comments. White down pointing back hand index. Speech balloon. Your opinion matters to us. Bell. If you like this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.